Here at Chonilla.com, we like to cuss. And if you don't want your kids to hear it, then listen to us when they're not around. But if you don't mind your kids listening to grown folks talk, then turn this shit up and let the show begin.
You're listening to
Chonilla.com.
Oh my God. You're hanging out at Chonilla.com. I'm Chloe.
And I am Charlotte.
And it is April 27th, 2013, Saturday, 11:42 a.m.
in the motherfucking Eastern time.
That's right.
Boom, blow.
Bing, bang, bong.
Why we do that? So our guest, I wrote tonight. I'm so used to us doing a
Doing it
show
in
at
the
night. Our guest today is the third child of ultimately 6 siblings from Darby, a homemaker. Darby, is that your mom's? That's your mom's name? Darby. Wasn't there a singer with the name Darby? Something
Don't
Prince
know.
Darby. Okay, anyhow. And Gary, a general contractor. At the age of 8, Kate's parents moved from where she hails from, the capital city, they call it, the saintly city, Pig's Eye, the Silver City, aka St. Paul, Minnesota. Home of the following best movies filmed in St. Paul are A Simple Plan,
Nice.
Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie,
Mm-hmm.
Grumpier Old Men. I like that movie somehow. And Jingle All the Way. That's the one that was so bad. I don't even remember what the movie was about.
Me either.
Schwarzenegger. Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't Tim Allen?
No, Schwarzenegger was in
Okay,
it.
okay.
Yeah. She is a mother, writer, an entrepreneur, a stand-up comedian, not necessarily in that order, who has lived a pretty remarkable life thus far and preparing to go on her first official comedy mini tour called Parental Dissension Advised. She'll be joined by Jen Hayward and Martha O'Neill. They will be in Toronto May 3rd, Ottawa May 4th, and Montreal May 5th. This is not your mother's comedy show. Let's welcome Kate Connor to the Chonilla Dome.
Yay!
Yay! See, I wish the Muppets were here right now.
Hey, guys.
Hi! Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. This is fantastic.
You forgot to mention how tall she is, because
I
you
know.
are a tall drink of water.
A tall drink of
Yeah.
water.
No.
How tall are you?
I'm about a little under 6 feet. I'm trying to be funny here, and there's no way to be funny about height. And then I often wear stilettos on stage, so like I'll be like 6'5".
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're just looking down at everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally and figuratively. No.
So as you'll notice, Kate,
Yeah,
the
little
kids sometimes they
sweetie.
come in.
Yeah.
Did you need anything?
This one's adorable, you guys.
I know, I
Oh
know.
man.
What's
She's
up?
going to be
I got
killer.
lost in those eyes.
I know.
Are they playing Minecraft? Did I hear Minecraft? My kids are gonna be so excited.
I'll take her back upstairs and I'll
You could
go over the rules
Why don't you
again.
grab my phone in my room, okay?
Can you do that?
Yeah.
High fives. Yeah.
She knows how it works.
Oh,
Come in
yeah.
right when you start recording, and then I
Exactly.
can play on Mom's phone.
Oh, yeah.
These kids got us pegged.
Especially her.
Yeah.
Because she's a
She's
thinker.
a clever one.
Yeah.
She's an analyst for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One's the prosecutor. The other one is what would be like the researcher.
Exactly.
And hopefully, there's not the one who the child who's the lawyer is gonna have to defend.
Yeah, no.
Later. in
No,
life.
exactly.
Seriously, Tia, stop breaking the law.
Yeah.
Seriously,
I got other clients. I don't need this work.
Exactly.
you're not smarter than the cops. Okay, you're smart, but
right.
not that smart.
Not that smart. Exactly. So with your height and everything, you played basketball,
I did.
volleyball.
Yeah. I went to a really small school, and at the time, and they still have it, they divide the teams by the size of school. So we played in the smallest, which is the weakest league. The big schools that have like 500,000 kids or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
There you're really dealing with like college potential level.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
So I played in a state level team. We came in third my senior year, but
Wow.
again, I can't ever I got to have that little asterisk, but it was just, it was us and like 4 other schools competing. But it was,
That's okay. I mean, you're the number one of something or the number
the
three,
third,
right? Yeah.
third of four. Yeah, but it was state, man. No, it was good. At the time, our school had a really strong basketball team, and we often would play those single A or double A teams, and we could beat them, but never at the state level. I mean, never the top ones of those tournaments. So.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, basketball, but I didn't like it. I did not want to play basketball. I only played it because I had to.
Oh, really?
And because our school is so small, I was in one of 10, graduating class of 10. Basketball was our only really sport. It wasn't like we had a choice of sports. It's not like I could pick tennis or golf or,
Right.
so it was, and I probably, had I had a choice, I probably would have picked basketball, but because it was forced on me, that contrarian in me was like,
Right.
oh, well, I don't want to be into this. I have to be. So,
So with the guys that you dated, did you have, I mean, I know for me, I love tall men. Well, guys have to be taller than me. Were you,
Yeah.
is it the same for you too, or is that tough?
height is, no, it's not. It's never really been an issue for me.
For you?
No, I mean, I didn't really get tall until like 11th grade.
Okay.
I was kind of a late bloomer. And then, I was even after the person I'm with now, my husband, when we first started dating, he was about an inch taller than me, and then I outgrew him, and I was still growing. I was still a kid.
Oh
Wow.
my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah. So,
Holy cow.
Awesome.
yeah, and he's not a short guy, but yeah, I was still growing, which is scary because it's like my kids are like, my oldest is 10,
Yeah.
and I met and basically married my husband at 19.
Wow.
It's only 9 years. Like, she could be meeting the love of her. Like, that's crazy. I'm not ready to accept that.
Oh.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah,
right?
it
The
happens
idea
to
of
the-
them dating.
That
Yeah.
scares me. It scares me because I know like our daughters they're cute and they're gonna be handsome girls and
Yeah.
oof.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm scared for the guys.
That's a better
Not
way to
worried
look
The
at
about
it.
girls can handle themselves.
Yeah.
What kind of damage are they going to inflict on those poor boys?
Exactly. Exactly. So you were born in 1975, so am I.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And where were you born? Because I know you moved to St. Paul, Minnesota, but where?
Well, the area I'm from is called the Twin Cities of Minnesota. There's Minneapolis and St. Paul, and then there's a big old ring of suburbs around them.
okay.
I was born in Minneapolis, but my parents had a house in the suburbs of St. Paul.
Oh, okay.
And then when my parents made that move, that big scary move when I was 8, that was from the suburb into downtown downtown St. Paul.
Okay.
So then I was just until I moved out, living in basically the core area of downtown St. Paul.
Okay. And it's a big family. I mean, you have
One of
6
6.
siblings. You're one of 6. What was that like?
It was great. I loved it. I knew that if I was going to have kids, I was either going to have zero. If I was going to have kids, I was going to have a lot. So it was either none or a lot. And
Okay.
I've got the 4, and I wanted 2 more, and that's not happening.
No,
That's
no.
not going to happen.
Well, I
No.
wanted 5 kids,
Yeah.
and you wanted 2, right?
I wanted to.
Oh, so
yeah.
you guys kind of met in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
You got to have that half child somewhere.
My mom had this deep feeling that Clovis was going to maneuver his way to try to have 5. So she was pleading with me, like, please
Don't let it happen.
don't
Yeah.
do something about it. I was like, just the way she was on me about it. I was like, is this a message, Mom?
I just kind of felt that
You really
when you,
not trust him, like at that level. Like he's gonna sneak it in here, not even gonna know. You gotta watch this guy.
He did with the 3rd.
Oh,
yeah.
oh,
Totally,
bam.
yeah. And I think that's why she was like, he's going to do it again.
He's got a history now.
Right?
yeah, so I had to get the operation to
Oh,
prove
did you have to
that
do that?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
yeah.
serious.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
No, my husband won't go there yet.
No.
Yeah.
we were done.
I
We
think
were done.
he's holding out. He's like, oh, when menopause sets in, you're gonna be wanting that baby. Oh, he's probably right. My mom had 6 kids, and she was in the church that we moved to. Birth control was completely forbidden. It wasn't God's will to have
Right.
it. But my dad had already had a vasectomy, so they
Oh.
were fine.
Okay.
But when menopause sat in for her, and she's gonna love that I'm talking about her details, that she would see all these women like her age or younger having babies, and she just
man.
that she was like itching, just itching to have a baby. Like her body just wanted it so badly. And then like 2 years later when menopause was over, she's like, thank God I didn't have it. Like she looked at those women going through menopause and having to deal with a 2-year-old and like, oh, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
So that's what happens? Like when you get close to that, you start
Your
to want
body, yeah. It's like,
really?
this is it. This is your last chance. You sure? No, and she had already had 6. It wasn't like she'd never had kids. Like
Right.
it's not a mental thing. It's a hormonal,
Physical.
crazy.
Wow.
According to her, who knows? I mean, but that makes sense though, biologically.
It does.
From an evolution perspective. Like,
we figured that if we ever did get to that point where we could afford more babies or we could have a big
Yeah.
family, we would adopt.
Yeah.
oh, that's smart. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're either adopt or maybe try foster care to kind of give back. The way that is.
Yeah, we took the adoption route as well. We have a dog.
Okay. It's a
Little
great
puppy.
kid.
Yeah,
Just got
yeah.
back to you.
No, he is like he definitely satisfies that itch. Like he's just like a little baby. Oh.
What kind, now,
And
what
he's
kind
just
of
a little Jack Russell. He's like 16 pounds. So he's like the
Russell.
size of like a 4-month-old. And
Yeah.
he'll always be the size of a 4-month-old. And it's just, oh, my baby.
Are Jack Russell very like? Is he
Hyper.
hyper,
Yeah, I hear you.
excitable?
He's
kind of
high
dog?
energy, but not like crazy. I mean, he can be crazy, but like in a fun way. He's got a great personality, my dog. I mean, and
Okay.
I'm not bragging or anything. I don't know how I got so lucky to get this dog, but he's just a really cool guy. Like at the dog park, people are laughing at him. He's just got a lot of character. And so, we've had dogs, like we dog set, were like just yappy and he's not like that, but he is high energy but in a really fun way, like attack the cat or
Okay.
Right.
attack the kids. It's hilarious.
It's a cute
He
dog.
pins the kids in corners
Yeah,
and growls at them.
Oh my gosh, you should see the videos.
It's so
They're
cute.
adorable.
It's so cute.
It's a cute.
It's like genuine
dog.
fear on my kid's face.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, you can't fake that.
No.
Yeah. Well, because it's a breed that's cute and it's small and it's
And smart.
smart and the hair doesn't get all over.
Right.
It's short hair.
So
yeah.
I would visit your house because
You're-
I was saying I had rules when it comes to people who have dogs and they throw a party, and for me I can't like ugly dogs like pugs, boxers, something about
anything with a shorter nose.
Yeah.
and the eyes popping out.
Yeah.
It's like
Can I get a 10-foot pole?
Because
'Cause,
don't put me in a position
poke
to
'em.
say, and you say, look at my cute dog. It's like, no,
don't you want to pet him?
I don't want to.
But that's how when people ask you to say, "Hey, look at my cute baby," and it's not a cute baby.
Right? You're like,
Oh, not every baby can be a cute baby.
right.
I'm sorry.
So you try
yeah.
to find different features.
Yeah, like you got to pivot. Like, oh, I like the dress you're wearing.
Right. She has so much hair.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's big. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
a big one.
Exactly.
I want to get a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking a Labradoodle, but they're kind of trendy now. But I was thinking like
And
a
they're big.
mid-size,
Yeah, they
big
are
dog,
big.
yeah.
Oh, just hold on. Let me get to the little. What's up, baby? I don't know
iPad's
where the
down here.
iPad.
I'll come up and find it in a couple minutes, okay? Love you, baby.
I want that
She's been sick
attention.
for a while.
Oh no.
Yeah.
She gave me her cold too.
Yeah.
I'm getting over it
Yeah.
slowly. Oh, anywho. I know.
Oh, sorry.
So when
Sorry, everyone.
last night was pretty bad.
So gross.
So
Yeah, so if anyone comes to rent a studio, come on. Run here.
Right.
I'm just coughing all over these mics. It's a very intimate environment.
Yeah.
So when I was going through your website and everything, so it mentioned, like you mentioned, you guys moved to St. Paul, Minnesota, due to I guess they moved to a commune,
Yeah.
right? It was a
They
Christ.
sold the house,
Household
gave
of
all
faith.
the money that they had, which wasn't much because it was the 1980s recession
Yeah.
and construction was like the first thing that was hit. And that's what my dad was doing. And my mom was a homemaker. She had no outside income. And so
Right.
that hit them really hard. And
Wow.
they got kind of desperate. And I think if it hadn't been for the recession, I think we probably wouldn't have joined. But it was that kind of that desperation of, I don't know where
I don't know
my
what to
check's
do.
going to come from. I got these 6 kids and so here was this organization that he had known for a while and had been thinking about, but I don't think the actual move would have happened without
Right.
some outside pressures.
Was this this commune, was it like a polyamorous commune?
No.
No? Okay.
No. It's it's crazy. Like I think the guy, the head guy really thinks he's got a direct connection to God, and that those 500 people are the only people going to heaven. Everyone else is doomed. Like that, the only truth is the one coming from his mouth.
Right.
Maybe if you hang out with me and you're my friend, maybe I can put in a good word for you.
Yeah,
With
but
the
you got to give me your house, and you got to come work for me, and you got to
It's not
and your
cheap
kids
getting
have
to
to go to this school, and it's
I have to control you. That's
yeah.
So you were 8. What was your thought?
The honeymoon period must have been cool though, meeting new kids and kind of hanging out.
Yeah, for me at eight, it was manageable. I think my older brother and sister was a little rougher, and then the younger ones, was pretty.
They just go with it.
Yeah, but because once we got there, there was like this larger compound, and it was in St. Paul. It wasn't like one of these remote in the country where you're really isolated, but we were kind of isolated in the middle of city where we had this big lawn we would play on, and then the way the building was structured is kind of a courtyard in the middle, and the kids would just run around and play all day. But then once you reach a certain age, you work on a farm during the summer.
Okay.
So we were doing a little manual labor.
So child labor.
Yeah,
Okay.
child labor. Corporal punishment, a lot of spanking.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
From teachers as well and everything.
Yeah, mostly parents. I encouraged it from the parents. A lot of public shame if you did anything wrong. They made a big deal.
Wow.
Yeah, you got to confess your sins and.
Publicly.
Yeah, that's encouraged. Yeah, I mean, not all sins are public, but you got a lot of points for doing it public.
Wow.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah, the guy's is an egomaniac.
Yeah.
How did you
no doubt.
I guess with that kind of influence, that can really kind of steer your who you are, right? So how did you ever see yourself having to part ways with who you used to be, or did you you were always you and you just knew that wasn't
I
you?
think I mean it is who I am,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of some people, maybe even a lot, came out much more damaged. I was lucky that I got out in a way that I was able to kind of detach myself, not get too much into. I don't know. I wasn't really directly hurt by that.
Right.
So
right.
it's who I, and at the time, I was like, oh my God, my life is so screwed up and we're so different. But then as you get older, you realize there's kids who grew up like with 2 alcoholic parents.
Yes.
Or one parent who was never around. In the big scheme of things, we all have weird ways of growing up, and mine is pretty tame. Personally, there were kids in the same community where you couldn't say the same. So I was shielded from good parenting, and just being a self-confident kid, I think helped. People don't mess with the kid
That's true.
who pretends to be self-confident. I wasn't actually self-confident,
But you learned, I guess, the tricks of confidence from your parents over time.
yeah,
I guess.
and because my family is pretty tightly knit. There's my older sister and my older brother, and then like 3 years, and then me, and then my sister and mother and a sister, and boom, boom, boom. Like it was very close in age.
Right.
Okay.
So we kind of had that. We have that cohesive unit that we still have. That camaraderie and togetherness. That I wasn't alone, like within this new world.
Right.
Always and they don't do anything weird like separate the kids from the parents. We all grew up in the same house.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Cool.
anything
Okay.
weird like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what about when you because I take it you're not part of this group anymore? Like, was there a complete banishment, or was there like a basically were you cut off from speaking to people that you knew in?
Yeah, officially that's how it's supposed to be.
Okay.
It ebbs and flows though. My brother kind of broke the water. He was the first one to leave our family.
He's the eldest?
My older brother, yeah.
Okay.
I have 2 brothers, one younger, one older.
Okay.
And he left like while he was still in high school. And we watched how we were not allowed to talk to him. He wasn't allowed to come by for Christmas. Like it was just like cold.
Oof.
But then one time he was okay. He came back. Like it was, you never really knew what the temperature was going to be.
Right.
So I saw that. And then when I made the decision that I needed to leave, my mom told me outright, if you do that, you are dead to me. Like those are the words she used.
Tough.
And I knew though at some level that she'd said the same to my brother, and I still managed to see him from time to time. And that would be weird. And then so I was willing to take that chance.
Yeah.
And then, as soon as you have kids, then it just changed, because then she's a
changes.
grandmother.
Right.
But I know parents, I don't know them well, but there are families in the church who were serious and they cut their kids off, and their kids had cancer and was dying, and they still didn't connect with her, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
or they,
I've heard of
Yeah.
stories like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
where they
too.
really, they slam that door shut hard, or they have grandkids and they just don't have anything to do with them. So
and I get
I'm
that.
lucky my parents are flexible.
Yeah, I get that though. That being in that kind of a tight knit religious kind of environment, that there's still a sense of duty, right? There's still like, so even though those words come out of people's mouths sometimes that are pretty hurtful, but I'm thinking that it's coming from a place of duty. Like they to respect their church and their beliefs, they have to kind of say that to.
And I think it's also like to scare me to stay.
Right.
There's that like, here's, I'm going to go, I'm going to really, this is my last pull, love isn't working, so I'm going to scare her. But they did the same thing with their families. When they made to the church, my mom told her parents and all her brothers and sisters, like, you're not my family anymore. This is my family.
Wow.
So she had been through that with them, and there was times where we weren't really in touch with them, and then that changed. Like we would see them again. So there was that back and forth on the kind of the other end of the family. So
when I my parents had we were living in metro housing, so it's got government subsidized housing, and the only way that they were able to stay there is if they had the kids there, right? So they had to have a certain amount of kids. And when I was the same thing in high school, I think I was like 16, 17, I decided to leave, and my stepmom said the same thing to me. Well, not the same thing, but she said, like, do you want us to lose the house? Do you want your younger sister to be on the street? And I was just like, whoa.
Wow.
Not my responsibility to take care of my younger daughter. It's yours as her parent. But it was kind of a shitty thing to say. So,
did it stop you from going?
Hell no. No, you could not.
In that moment, or that time, in that mind frame.
If anything, when she said that, it was a validation of why I need to leave.
Oh,
because
wow.
I was like, you are crazy and you're dysfunctional. So
have you worked it out since? Like, are things okay now?
No.
Or? Oh,
No. She went down a heavier path of alcoholism. Like as soon as they didn't lose the house because I had left. They lost the house because they had gotten so bad with the drinking that my dad was not supposed to be living there. She was supposed to be a single parent, raising these kids.
Right.
So
to qualify.
Right. So my dad was there and he had a job and he was bringing in income, and that was something that you weren't supposed to have. And she was also working at a job.
Multiple reasons why.
Yes.
She's going to pin it on you.
Right. and they still fell behind on their rent, even though they were both working and receiving government subsidies. They fell behind on their rent, lost the house, and
Wow.
it was quite the ordeal.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going back to that place, no way. And she as soon as they lost the house, she ended up leaving my dad, hooking up with some other dude, and
right away.
It was like she needed to find her new source of
house.
alcohol.
Yeah, exactly.
Her new roof.
Yeah. So you left in high school?
No, I was a year out of high school.
Okay,
So I was
year out of
19 when
high
I
school.
left. Yeah.
So what was
That's
that
a good time, man.
like?
That's a good time.
What was that? I mean, your outside world, and I'm sure they said create a whole bunch of stuff about the outside world.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what was that
yeah.
like for you? Were you
I was
shocked?
It's not that bad. It's not like there's demons everywhere. This
Right.
is great.
I was indoctrinated to the point where I thought if I go out and I leave and something happens, I'm hit by a car or whatever, I'm going to hell. It's like it was, so that I had that, but it was still worth the chance. When you're 19,
Yes.
and you're being told that you're not allowed to date, you can date, but guys you've known since you were 8. You're no sex outside of marriage. So if you want to become sexually active, you need to get married first.
Right.
No birth control. So no career, nothing. As soon as you get married, then it's kids.
Wow.
And so at 19, I'm kind of looking at my options and I wanted to go to college, and they were telling me, no, the job you have, you're fine. You don't need college for it. And I was seeing girls, who I thought I was smarter than, getting to go to school because they were prettier and they could kiss butt better or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like I didn't feel like it wasn't really a meritocracy in a way that, not that anywhere is, but it was just like I was feeling it really directly. Like I want to make some of these choices, and I want to go out and taste the world. I wanted to travel, and that was not really an option. So a big part of these things is you got to control the message. And so a lot of the reasons why they cut people off is because they don't want people kind of saying, hey, like you said, it's not that bad out here, So I wanted to get out and see what that world was like, because we were kind of cut off from it. So even though we were in in a city, and some of us, we had exposure to TV and stuff, although they really wanted to be careful about what we watched.
Oh, okay.
We weren't complete, it was we getting tastes of what the world is like, but I wanted to actually taste it. So take a bite out of it.
Yeah.
So, so I made that choice, and then, I had nothing. I had a job outside of my job. I had some work skills because the job I had was in kind of a cutting edge industry. And so I had that firsthand experience, although I had no college degree, no formal education, and no money. I had a side job, like working at a restaurant, but that, very little money. But fortunately, through the job I had through the commune, they were contracting with or working with an outside company to develop a software product. And I was interfacing with that company a lot for the development of that product. And so when they found out I was leaving, they're like, hey, come work with us.
Oh, it's perfect timing.
So yeah, that made a big difference. Huge difference. If I had left without that, my life would have taken a totally different path.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's the first thing that you indulged in when you in Sin City? Sin World.
The part of the deal was that because the company still worked with the church,
Right.
suddenly this very awkward thing, like someone who left, you're not supposed to ever talk to, is working for a company that you're working with. Fortunately, though, the company that hired me was moving part of their operations to Baltimore.
Okay.
So they're like, why don't you just come with us to Baltimore? And so it satisfied like seeing the world a little bit, traveling a little bit, getting away from my family a little bit. So I did that. Do you guys want to know the real story?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
So the reason the company was going to Baltimore is the president of the company's wife had just gotten her doctorate and was doing her postdoc at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore.
Okay.
And she's going to be there for 2 years.
Okay.
2 weeks in, not even 2 weeks, a week in, him and I are going out and they're getting separated.
Stop.
So at the point that we're in Baltimore and the reason we're in Baltimore doesn't even need to be here anymore. We were in Baltimore for 6 months and decided to go back to Minnesota.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's the story. So yeah, you asked what my first bite was. My boss.
Yummy bosses.
If they knew, they'd be like, see?
All right, let's take a break.
By the way, like us on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Chonilla Podcast.
Oh, by the way, if you have an opinion on what we've been talking about so far, then go ahead and leave us a message on speakpipe.com/Chonilla.
So you mentioned you started dating your boss.
Yeah.
Being all sneaky freakies.
I know, we snuck it for about a week and a half before his wife found out.
Oh.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Was that a big blow up?
I mean, their marriage was obviously in decay long before I ever stepped into the picture. But no, I think we were in this great neighborhood called Fells Point in Baltimore, and it's just like this tourist trap. It's just gorgeous. It's on the water, and it's like the old cobblestones, and like in the middle of the street we lived on, there's like a fish market and fresh food. Like it was just like this little idyllic little East Coast thing, and this great little iconic bar. I don't even know what it's called now. I should remember. And it was always packed, great, really cozy. And we, as a group, the other employee that was there and my boyfriend and his wife. And before that was the place we'd just go hang out and drink at each night.
Right.
And then one night, we got a little cocky and we started kissing while she was in the bathroom.
Ooh.
Yikes.
And she came out and saw that, and that was it.
I guess a little bit of you wanted to.
I think he was. No, I think he was ready. I think he was ready.
Yeah.
Just, which is not the most adult way
to
breaking the news.
Yeah.
Surprise.
But it makes for a great story. So yeah, it's paying off. And so it's and then it happened, and the separation was pretty quick, and thankfully there was no children. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
That's great.
That would have been
Now
something
he's
else.
your husband.
Yeah. So clearly it was meant to be. Like had we broke. Well, the first time. That happened. The next morning, I'm like, is this what all the employees go through? Like, I wasn't sure. Like, is this some kind of initiation? So I did, I was kind of like, and I was so young. Like, and so clueless. I just got left a cult. I just living with my parents. I had no real dating experience. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. And so I didn't know, is this a real thing? Like, I was never asking any questions. I was just, going with the flow. And so he made up his mind, this is it. And so it was. And
Wow.
thankfully it worked out.
That's amazing, though. I mean, you followed your feelings. You followed your heart to what you wanted. And that's pretty cool.
I was following my loins.
You're 19, right?
He's older,
And he's
and
wicked
he
hot
was
too,
like
right?
31,
Yeah.
and so he had a much better idea of what he wanted and what wasn't working with his current marriage and what he liked about me. And we had been hanging out through work, and I didn't even know we were flirting. Like the first moment I ever saw this guy, didn't know his name. He was walking. This is when I was still in the church, still working at the company before I left.
Yeah.
He was walking towards this desk, and I was standing next to a colleague of mine who I just kind of said, I said, who's that guy? Mm-hmm. And he gave his name. And my first question was, is he married? I don't know why that was my first question,
Wow.
guys. And
he's wicked hot.
And the guy said, yeah, he is. And out of my mind, I had no, I was like, he was, he's a taken man. He was spoken for. That was it.
Right.
So hanging out that in some ways that makes it so much easier to hang out with someone when there's not that sexual tension is he, isn't he? Like, it was just I could just be myself, and it was cool. And then I think that's what he found attractive. And me not knowing his marriage was falling apart, not knowing any of that. And then him coming to that conclusion, it's like, okay, and so it really was all him. I swear I'm innocent.
I'm not a homewrecker.
Yeah, I know.
You did have him in the friend zone.
Yeah, he was in my solidly in my friend zone.
Right.
I had no idea
But
that it was more
legitimate
than that.
friend zone. Like, you had no idea.
Yeah,
No.
being friends is different than keeping someone in the friend zone.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right, friend zone is on reserve.
Right.
Break in emergency.
The friend zone is like a one-way commitment. That's the other way it's not.
No, he was just a genuine friend and my boss.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
so that whole dynamic. So that's so when he made the move and passed on me, it was like,
Right.
oh,
Whoa.
wow. Yeah.
So when you guys started hooking up, how much more money did you get in your salary? Was it worth it?
How much time off
Unfortunately,
did you
nothing.
get?
Actually, and to the point that you're like the boss's girlfriend and things get financially tight, you're the first person to lose your salary.
That's
So.
true.
Yeah. Unfortunately, now we can't work together, so you're fired.
Yeah. Or no, you'll work for free and I can get away with this. So I'm cutting off your paycheck.
You want the company to succeed, right?
Yeah, right. We're doing it, taking for the team.
Yeah.
We're investing back into us.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that was all going down in Baltimore, and it was like a soap opera, between my parents disowning me and then this, and there was some drugs and that whole thing, and this is this little naive virginal girl breaking up marriages. It was just really crazy. Again, unfortunately it worked. I mean, we've definitely had some rough spots, but we've made it through them, and
That's
so
good. That's
in the
great.
long term it proved, it was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
Yeah.
Was there any quirkiness that you had that he may have noticed from you being in a commune? That, I don't know, things like, okay, why, when you're younger, why are you doing this? Or how, why are you talking this way? Or something that you would do that.
Well, I told you earlier, when I left, I thought, if I die, I'm going to hell.
Right.
And he is hardcore agnostic atheist.
Is he?
Yeah. So those conversations were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it was great because it was just this whole education process for me, asking questions I never really asked before and thinking
Right.
about things in ways I'd never really thought of before. So it was just meeting him just opened so many ideas to me that I had never been exposed to. So in some ways, people would say, well, he's your new cult leader,
Nah.
because all my new information is coming from one
from
source,
him, yeah.
but through him and through my own natural curiosity, and especially like now with the internet and all that stuff, I took the initiative to learn these things, and he plant these seeds in seeds. These ideas. Four seeds. Four to be exact. Yeah. So, he was a teacher. He really was. Cause he's older and way more experienced, and he'd been to college and just traveled the world. So he really did. It was a teacher and still is. I mean, especially with the comedy stuff, he is really it's a partnership for us. The comedy thing. Like he's my editor, and he gives me feedback, and he helps me with my wardrobe. Like it's just
That's
awesome.
awesome.
a team effort there.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I think the difference would be like if the like what you said, like he's the new cult leader, but that would be like if he if you were required to believe everything he said without question.
No, what was fun was the
right?
debate that would happen.
Yeah.
And he didn't kick me out of bed if I disagreed with him.
There is a God. What?
Sleep on the floor.
Where's your God now?
Yeah. What's he doing for you right now?
If your God loved you, why would you be sleeping on the floor?
So in '97, you and your husband, you made a temporary move to Montreal.
Yeah.
How did you go from Baltimore to here?
Well, we were back to the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
Lived there for maybe 2.5 years. When I met him when we first started out, he told me right up front, like he wants to move outside of the States. He lived in Norway for a while and really was like really impressed with the social system there. And, Amsterdam was high on his list as a place he wanted to live. He'd traveled a lot and really had seen enough of the outside world and what life could be like as compared to what he was seeing where the U.S. was going. Mm-hmm. And I was so naive. I didn't really see it, but the idea of living in a foreign country, like, yay! So I was like, I was so I was seriously like every decision was like, yeah, whatever. It was just like, I was like this party girl just going on for the ride.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what the implications of that were, especially with having kids and stuff. So we, Europe, it was something we wanted to do, but it was so expensive, especially like with the internet at the time. Like the rates were like to have high speed internet in Amsterdam at the time was like $1,000 a month or something. It was like crazy. This is like 97. Like this, to have high speed, it's when most people had dial up modems, but for our work, we needed like T1 or ISDN.
T1,
because you were running
T1 connections are expensive.
Are you guys still doing that software?
Yeah, he still does that. I help when I can, but, kind of like with you, I kind of had to pull away from work, and not for comedy, but comedy's kind of filled that void a little.
It's a filler.
Yeah, it's hard for it to. They just came swooped in, filled that vacuum. Yeah, but Montreal had like installed some fiber or something. I don't know. It was like internet was inexpensive. It was before the housing boom, so rentals were really manageable and
rentals were great.
Yeah, and worst case scenario, we could just drive back to the Twin Cities if we had to, Right. And so I loved Toronto. Canada was on our map because I loved Toronto. We had visited Toronto. I was like, I love Toronto. But then when we started, like, well, what else is in Canada besides Toronto? Montreal was there, and it's like, hey, this is cool. This looks sweet. I didn't know anything about it, but we came and we visited, and we liked it. And then at the time we were doing that, my family was still kind of awkward with us. Like, they didn't really know. Like, my sister had gotten married, and we weren't invited to the wedding.
Oh, man.
Yeah, like, things were still kind of weird.
Within that same.
She was in the church.
Okay,
yeah. And then, so
can you say what that church was called?
Oh yeah, it's all over the website.
It's on her website.
If you go to lifehysteric.com and then you go to the about tab, like there's detail. At the time that my parents joined, a news the religion columnist for the Minneapolis Tribune, a Star Tribune, did a week-long piece. Like he was there for like a month or something, interviewing people, and then did a whole series. And I found them online, so you can look at these old articles, and they're really scary.
Man, I'm gonna check those out.
Yeah. Christ's Household of Faith.
Yeah, right? Choff.
I know that a lot of people that come from, I guess, a highly religious environment, when they start to look and find their own path, they still retain spirituality. Is that where you'd consider you're at? Like you still have that spirituality, or have you gone the route of being more atheist?
Agnostic? Or...
Yeah. I don't know. I do think there is just in like the idea of spirits in the sense that we convey, like if I'm in a bad mood and I come up here and I sit down in a bad mood, I have the ability to put you also both in a bad, like that you can convey bad energy or positive energy.
Yes.
So in the sense of that spiritualness, like that spirit that I have right now can, for good or bad, influence others. So I totally, it's not even believe, like I see that happen.
Yeah.
So there's that. But as far as like the power of the universe or energies in the bigger sense, I don't know. I don't know enough about that, and I guess I'm skeptical about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I equate spirituality to like what is still unknown. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of stuff out there. Like I think there's
so much we don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So to say there either is or isn't, it's just a little bit ignorant. But I'm definitely atheist in the term of a. The one
like
bigger
omnipotent,
God.
all-knowing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm definitely like that's not.
Reach into his butt and pull out the bird. Yeah. A little skeptical.
Yeah. I'm more like to, I guess, see the beauty in the unknown and the discoveries that happen that way, and that, in a sense, gives me that sense of spirituality, I guess.
Right. Yeah. This idea that, see, what I don't like about atheism is because they know there isn't a God. It's like, well, wait a minute.
Right.
We really don't know.
Don't know.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I don't like about people say they know there is a God. Mm-hmm. Like I'm as offended by you not or for sure knowing there isn't a God as those who for sure know there is. Like there's that arrogance and like, how could you know? How could you know what, where, how? Because our brains can't really comprehend infinity. We don't really know how. And so something happened somewhere and it came from something.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I'm not going to close the door. I'm not going to claim that I know how that happened.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that some guy that kind of looks like a dude who hangs out in the sky.
Right.
Smokes pot all day.
And came up with it. And he's got this really cool son. Like, I don't know.
Exactly. Sends him down.
But like as far as the teachings of Jesus Christ, I'm all about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I am too.
What Jesus, if Jesus existed, and I know there's some historical evidence that he didn't, but what we attribute to who Jesus is and what he said, I'm a Christian. Like, I'm all for.
I'm on the same page with you too. Like, it's much more realistic to me, the idea of Jesus, than God itself.
Yeah.
And knowing like you're a person who can believe a message so strongly that you would do certain things in order to express that idealism. Yeah. So I could see a person doing that so much so that it affects till this day that person, which is Jesus, to his story to continue. But so I'm much more wrapped up on that. Yeah,
didn't I think Thomas Jefferson or something take the Bible and just remove all the miracles from it, and just so he could,
just show the man,
the teachings of him instead of the I guess propagandized stuff with the miracles.
Right.
Like just the Sermon on the Mount or the Beatitudes, like blessed are the weak. If you just look at those outside of the converting fishes and lows, and I mean just the
don't hurt anybody.
Don't be a dick.
It
kind of boils down to
say no to assholes. Right?
It's like, no, you guys don't get it. Why are you making it all complicated?
Right,
I'm just saying.
You don't have to be an asshole.
Right. And what's really sad is to see a lot of modern Christianity twist that. And you're like, no.
Oh my God.
Jesus wants you to be wealthy, and that shows God is giving you that wealth because he loves you. And it's like, wait a minute, maybe that wealth is at the expense of people you're supposed to be helping. You know, like that. To see it twisted so badly is scary.
Yeah. I think because me and Shirley did a thing where we went to a mosque for a while, and we were asked, we could ask, sit down with the imam and ask a bunch of questions. And one of the things they do have within Muslim is a tithe of 28% if you can afford it, I think.
Wow.
Of your salary and stuff like that. Yeah. But they take care of everything at the mosque. If somebody passes away or something like that, it's a free funeral service. Everything's taken care of.
The community comes
community helps people that are not doing so well, and they have dinners and stuff like that. So it's
that's what
really community based, but it's funded by the people who can afford it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I miss about, especially having moved away from family. Mm-hmm. I sometimes wonder, my husband's Jewish, and I wonder maybe we should just join a Reform synagogue, just so we can have that community and have people we can see once a week, and and now I have comedy in that community, but it's not as kid friendly as synagogue might be. So there were times it's like I mean it's just the community aspect of it, not even the spirituality.
Right.
I mean, and also the cultural, like, and having the holidays, and even if you don't believe the story or if it doesn't really affect your life, it's just a fun way to have a meal together with people and drink a lot of wine.
Yeah.
Exactly. So your husband is a non-practicing Jewish man.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say I know a Jewish rabbi, and she's gay and she's pretty cool.
Yeah, hook me up. Maybe I'll get her that info.
Did you what was the ceremony when you guys got married?
Vegas. It was in Vegas.
It was in Vegas.
Nice.
Was it a drive-through?
No, we went to the courthouse, the Clark County courthouse.
So no Elvises in sight?
No, and actually Elvis, according to the woman who married us, who actually was from Minnesota, coincidentally, not ironically, coincidentally, she said those Elvis people can't actually marry you. None of them are actually ordained, or none of them are commissioners or whatever. They can perform the ceremony, but the actual real stamped thing or whatever it has to be done at the courthouse or someone else. I don't know. Maybe that's changed. Maybe someone's actually taken the time to be an Elvis impersonator and ordained. I don't know.
Right.
But no, it's we moved here temporarily, and then when we made the decision that we actually wanted to stay here, we had to go through the process of getting permanent residence. Right. And I, having no college education or anything like that, didn't have enough points. But my husband did, and as his spouse, we could both go in. My points didn't matter then.
Okay.
But if we had both tried to apply separately, I probably wouldn't have gotten through.
Really?
So,
now, what do you mean by points? Like, how do they?
Yeah, they how strong is your English? How strong is your French? What level of education do you have? What field do you work in?
Wow.
And then you add up those points, and then if your points are high enough, they say you'll have a pretty good chance of getting accepted, and if your points are low, they say you can apply, but your chances of getting through are pretty low.
Oh wow!
So those points.
Okay.
All right. I want to talk about your comedy.
Yes.
If you could choose one comedian to be your mentor, dead or alive, who would it be?
Actually, I have it. I have the best mentor in the world. Eddie Brill has been an amazing coach to me, and he's
Eddie
not
Brill.
a really well-known name, but he used to be the booker for David Letterman.
Okay.
He still opens for Letterman. He is an icon in the New York scene. Like, he's helpful for so many comics. Like, he's just so giving of his time and of his feedback, and he's amazing. And I met him last year here in Montreal. We were friends on Facebook, and then when he was coming up for the festival, it wasn't, around the Just for Laughs time. We met just briefly, but then stayed in touch online, and he's just been a huge help, just little tweaks of wording or helping me structure ideas, and I'll have an idea, and he's like, well, think about it from this angle, and I'm like, oh, okay, just that kind of feedback is amazing.
Is that rare in this industry? Because when I hear about comics, it also comes with the cutthroat aspect
right?
of it. Yeah.
Me too. I always think it's a cutthroat.
Yeah,
thing.
Within that community, you know what I mean, where it's like you don't want to
or cliquish.
too many jokes, or
there's definitely some aspects of that. Certainly more so in New York and LA, and I've never worked in either of those cities. But it's just the reputation that
maybe
they
when
have.
it's more saturated with comedians.
But Eddie told me when we first started working together, I felt bad, and I was like, I've only doing this for about a year. You're giving me so much time that you could be spent on comics who've been, much more further along into this. And he's like, you know what? When I was just a year in, Joan Rivers helped me.
Wow.
Johnny Carson would talk to me. He's like, there were people who were willing to give their time to me, and so I want to give back to the community what was given to me. So it's like, oh my gosh, this guy's amazing.
Don't be a dick.
We're back to Jesus. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. How do you
do t-shirts, Jesus?
That quote, don't be a dick. Jesus.
We're doing it.
We just paraphrased the entire New Testament down to one sentence.
Exactly.
Give me your elevator pitch for the Bible. Don't be a dick.
When he comes back, that's all he has to say. It's like, why didn't you say this in the first place?
I've always been curious about I don't know if I can call it the integrity line, but guys like Carlos Mencia, guys like Dane Cook, who get this reputation of
Joke thieves.
being a joke thief, and then retelling the jokes, but in their own way,
or sometimes like flat out straight. Like there's
Right.
been some examples of that too, where it's just like, whoa.
I just heard that 2 minutes ago from that guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or I heard Cosby online do that,
Wow.
or not online. I saw him do that bit on TV, and you're doing it here in the.
Right.
Have you heard anybody steal one of your bits?
No. My bits are so about like parenting. I would love for like some dude to get on stage and talk about how hard it is to give a good blowjob. Like that would be. I would love for someone to steal my material in that way.
Right.
Yeah. No, that would.
You'd have a blast.
No, in a lot of stuff is just parallel thinking.
Yes.
There's always going to be that, especially with political and topical stuff.
Right.
A
Right.
headline comes out and people are going to have the same immediate thought and they're going to put it on Twitter or whatever. And that, but, if you've got a unique enough voice and from a unique enough perspective, it's hard for someone to lift that material.
Right.
And so if your only angle is like, oh, I'm a black comic or I'm a Hispanic comic,
Right.
there's going to be a lot of parallel thinking, and it'd also be easier for some other Hispanic comic to lift that stuff. But
Right.
I'm a mom with a weird twist of view. There's not a lot of us moms or married to Jewish men. I don't know. There's just things that it's unique enough that it'd be hard to twist into. And
Right.
I don't put a lot of stuff online, and I'm working in Canada now, but I haven't. The point that I might start getting on TV and stuff, maybe it could start happening, but so far it's not been a problem. But I've seen other comics lifting stuff.
Yeah, because there's the comedian that are very like technical, right? And they're very about like fixing their timing and stuff. And then there's the comedians I think more like Louis C.K. where it's just he's a good storyteller.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like Cosby as well. Is a great
my gosh.
storyteller. Richard Pryor, great storytellers. And I think that's where it becomes more difficult to emulate. You know what I mean? That style. Like if somebody goes up and tries to do like a Richard Pryor bit, he's got to do it in the same kind of cadence
Right.
that Richard Pryor did it, or it's not.
But
doesn't
if you
come
took the
across.
same
But-
subject matter and did it, I would also consider that lifting.
Okay.
That, like if you took, not the same subject matter, because you can have subject and anyone can have different angles, but if you took the same subject and had the same interpretation of it, but
Right.
delivered it in a different way, to me it's
yeah.
same. You're
Yeah.
not. It's got to be different enough.
I want to know about
That's why you got to, as a comic, I find I used to be a huge comedy nerd. I loved it. I would take it in. And now that I'm doing it, I kind of stay away from watching it. It's just, and some of it's
Wow.
because I see it a lot. I'm in the clubs and doing it. And so I reach a saturation point. But at the same time, I don't want whatever's happening in my subconscious to get tainted by what I'm seeing other comics do.
Right.
That is okay. So we've got a pretty tight knit group of podcaster
Yes,
friends.
yes.
right? And
It's we.
they put out a lot of content, and there was a time where I was keeping up with the content, but I had to pull back a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I would start to notice that, my thoughts were more geared towards what the group's thoughts were. And I was just like, okay, I got to stop this.
Right.
Pull
You
back.
need
Sometimes you have to pull back.
Yeah.
You need to keep a little bit of a firewall there.
Yeah, and that's the
Exactly.
only way I think that Chonella can keep its brand is just by dabbling instead of being like completely committed.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Even like comedy podcasts like WTF and stuff. I used
Yeah.
to listen to those religiously, and I can't now.
You
I just,
can't.
yeah.
Wow.
Which is from time to time I'll like
Yeah.
like Pete Holmes. He's got a good one that I enjoy, or
Right.
or the one we were talking about. My wife hates me. Like that stuff.
So good.
But yeah, you just still got to be careful. I want to make sure that when I hear something, it's in my own head and I'm developing it. That it's not. You're gonna be influenced by things all over. I just want to make
Right.
sure it's not influenced from something I heard someone do on stage.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
How did you get into, like, what made you decide? I mean, from your history and everything, you go from being a mom and all that. How did you get into comedy? What made you think, I'm going to be a stand-up comic?
I was doing the whole business thing. There's a lot of things, but the short answer is our company needed help. The recession hit. Our clients weren't doing well. We needed to find new clients, but it was really hard. And so I thought, okay, we need to find some venture capital. I'm going to write a business plan, and we're going to go out and raise some money. And I did. I poured my heart into this business plan. Like I really worked my ass off to get it right. I did my research and everything. And like the most positive feedback I got from it was like, it was really funny to read.
Oh man.
So at that point, it's just like, damn. Yeah. I
I
love
think I missed the point.
Yeah, you're missing. Those numbers are hilarious. Yeah, so that plus like people on Facebook saying, "Hey, you're so fun," like that,
Right.
and then listening to the WTF podcast, because Mark will interview people who are like just legends in my mind, like people who are just like so untouchable.
Right.
But then hearing their stories about how much they sucked at first, and just hearing them, because to me, like stand-up comics are so smart, like I'll never be that smart.
Right.
And hearing them in real life, just having conversations, like I could talk like that, like
Yeah.
they're not so untouchable, like I could try this. So that, and I'd given natural childbirth. 3 of my kids are born naturally. If I can do
Oh
that,
my goodness.
I can stand up and be embarrassed for 5 minutes.
You did
you
not
know?
go to the
Whatever.
Church of Epidural?
No, I did for my first, and it didn't
Okay.
even help. It didn't even
Didn't?
help.
Okay.
No. Yeah, so at the point that you've done that, like even with an epidural, the point that you've passed this, between that, like, come on, you can do anything.
It's true.
5 minutes being embarrassed to say whatever.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've created new life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move
What have you
over.
done?
What did you
Yeah.
do today?
I got babies sucking on my titties. Like,
Right. As I'm cooking.
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. So the first time that you were just asking me if I've ever thought, it dabbled in my head here and there, but for me, like I was telling you, it's hard for me to wrap my brain on how to construct it or put it together.
Yeah, and that just comes with experience.
I liked
Yeah.
what you said about like comedians being very intelligent, because for me that's kind of like how you define intelligence is the ability to make connections, and that's what I get when like that's what'll make me laugh, is when I hear a comedian say something and he's put something together that's unique and
Right.
I've never heard before.
Yeah,
Right.
but you know it at some level. Like
Yeah.
it makes sense to
You
you. Like,
relate.
yes,
Oh, yes.
oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do get on the bus every day.
And I do look like an idiot. Why didn't anybody tell me?
It's true. Well, it's just last night we were recording a show, and we are talking about, because you mentioned bus, how I always thought the handicap buses is like, for me, the like first class in the airplane, because I mean
It's a little roomier.
it's roomier, the halls are much wider.
It's air
The bus will
conditioned.
come down to meet
Yes,
you. You don't have to
see,
come.
She gets it.
Door to door.
Door to door.
Yeah.
They're on time.
Yep.
So Chloe was making jokes like, "Oh shucks,"
Yeah.
You can chop off your legs. You can have the first class bus. Is that what you want?
Must be nice to be a paraplegic.
Exactly.
Lucky bastards.
So what was your first time like? Your first,
It was fine.
yeah.
It was fine. I was sick. My stomach was. Yeah, I did it at the Comedy Nest, which doesn't have a bathroom. Like it's like in the forum, and the closest bathroom is like in the neighboring establishment. There was a bathroom in the green room. I didn't know that at the time. So there's a bathroom for comics, but I'm running back and forth in my heels, like all dressed up. Yeah, like doing that was not cool. But I ideally in a perfect world, I was just gonna do it and no one was gonna know, just anonymously go up and try it. But in order to get stage time, they want you to bring your friends because they want to sell drinks and admission.
Right.
So it's like I had to invite my friends up to be publicly humiliated, which they
shoot.
normally got for free, and now they had to pay $5 to see me do that. So yeah, so that was a
Wow.
bummer for them. But no, it was good. It was during August. My kids weren't back in school yet, and so it was like a week where they were kind of home anyway, and so I was just like, I practiced in front of the mirror. My husband bought like this dollar store mic, and I practiced holding it
That's
and playing
cute.
with the
Aw.
cord.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, so I really, like, it was like word for word, like scripted out, and I just memorized it and practiced it. And then, like, I remember that night I got there was another first timer, and he had like 4 like ideas just written, like just loosely written out, and he's like looking at my paper like, whoa, what's going on? Like,
Are you doing a 3-hour
yeah,
set? or
yeah, I
what?
know. And then I had a list of questions like, okay, talk to MC about intro. Like I had like my to-do list. Like I brought like my business side of it to the
Wow,
show. Like I
right.
check this or make sure I know the name of the server because I needed that for a joke. Like I had like in my mind things I had to do when I got there.
Right.
So the guy, he was looking like, whoa, crap, what am I getting into? And it was fine. It was great. I mean, that part of it made me comfortable enough to get on stage. I never would have been comfortable. It was just like having a few rough ideas and just try to like freeball it. Like that was, so that made me comfortable enough to do it. I was still very awkward. I didn't know how to handle myself. I didn't know, that just comes with experience. And I'm
Yeah.
still trying to get that down. That just takes time.
Do you remember the heckles that you got?
No,
No.
people don't heckle here.
They don't?
No.
Okay.
So rarely. Yeah. Do they heckle you? You guys get heckled from the comments.
Yeah,
We
sometimes.
do. Sometimes.
Yeah. I can't remember any.
No.
I know.
No, I guess in general, Canada is not much of a heckling thing, except I guess in Vancouver it can sometimes happen.
Shonilla.com is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phone, BlackBerry, and free. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Go to Stitcher.com and download it for free today. Oh yeah, and we'd really appreciate a thumbs up.
Go to Cholilla.com.